I'm not sure how the National Guard works, honestly.
How the National Guard works. You never seen the commercials where they're like, 1 weekend a month, like 2 weeks out of the year, and that's it. That's like all your military contribution.
I am familiar somewhat,
Yeah.
but how is it any different from like being in the reserves?
So the reserves is the federal army and the National Guard is the state army. So it's kind of just like a difference in what your job duty is, like what you could be asked to do, but the commitment time-wise is the same. It's literally like 1 weekend a month, and they say it's 2 weeks out of the year, like it's usually in the summer, but that training period is like usually longer. It depends.
And this was when you were in Pennsylvania?
Yes, I was in the Pennsylvania National Guard specifically.
And then you guys get activated when need be, right?
Yeah, for stateside emergencies specifically.
Okay. Has that ever happened?
Yes, my unit was activated, but I never went because I was in school. Like I was in college. So when I got put on the list, they took off people that are parents, they took off people that are in college, like for whatever, because they didn't need everybody. I was in like a big ass unit, so like they didn't take everybody. But it was mostly like hurricanes and natural disasters in other states.
Hurricanes in Pennsylvania?
No, it was like stuff in Texas people got sent to.
Oh, so you had an opportunity to go out to like different states?
Yeah, they would call other states, yeah.
So it wasn't just localized in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, the only stuff that they got activated for in Pennsylvania was like snowstorms.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
The National Guard, like
Yeah.
as a whole.
Yeah, what'd you think about it? What was your experience like?
Oh my God, what did I think of it? I mean, it wasn't what I expected it to be. It wasn't, I don't think it like changed me in the ways I expected it to change me, but I don't think anything does, to be honest. I don't know. I would rate it a 6 out of 10
A 6 out of 10.
for total experience.
That's not bad. I mean, I know like for some people, their military experience kind of rattled them a little bit, you know? Mm-hmm. For the most part, I think the military does kind of like change people for the better, at least, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, it did. In the Marine Corps, I was in for 4 years. And I would say that I have a lot more discipline.
That's what the Marine Corps will do.
But then I think after being in the military, it gave me like a new appreciation for college. Plus, I mean, I get to go to school for free too, so that's always good.
That you do. That you do.
Yeah. But how does that work with the National Guard? Because I'm not sure, like.
So if it's a state school, I mean, it depends on the state. That's the thing. Like, when I was deciding between the reserves and the National Guard, I specifically was worried about school money. So everything's like completely different. Like if you're in the reserves, I think it's the same no matter what state you're in, but the National Guard, depending on what state you're in, depends on like what schools you can go to and the type of money that you get because it's state funded money. So it gets released at a certain time every year, like dependent on like state funding specifically. So if you go to a state school, I think it's like just you're clear, like no matter what the cost of it is. If you go to any other type of university, I believe it was like 2 different grants you had to apply for, but it was weird. It was weird. It was like a lot of stuff to like keep up with. Like you had to like every semester do your paperwork. Like there was like all these requirements you had to have. And it was like a little bit under the total cost of tuition for me. I went to Temple University in Philly.
Okay. So when you were in, you still had to pay for your college and everything?
Like a teeny portion of it. But I didn't get, you don't get book money, you don't get housing. In the end, it ended up being like $35,000. It was like not that much money.
What were you studying?
Social work.
Oh, that's cool.
You think?
I think so, yeah.
No one, again, I'm like, no one ever says that, so thanks.
Well, to me, that sounds like you're a people person, right?
Yes. That is the number one reason to do it, yeah.
Well, what led you to do something like that?
Like, honest to God, I was looking for something to believe in, and I kind of felt like, all right, most philosophies, most religions, most just like systems of belief would say like service to humans, service to man gets you closer to God. So I was like, all right, I'm trying to figure this out, like what I believe in and try and find God. Like I should help people. I should like use my life for something. And social work, especially like the school I went to, it's very political. It's very like emotionally charged. It's very it's like really like from the heart. It was like very intense, I feel as though. But I picked it because I felt like I wanted to learn the skills to help people, because everyone can like want to like, oh, I want to like help people, but to how to do it in a way where you like get something done, like not really just do it like for yourself and you just like feel good, like actually be able to set a goal, accomplish it, and in the end be able to measure it and say like there's some people out there who are better off than before we did this project or whatever you might want to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's like, and that was why I joined the military. I was like, I want to go to school, I want to help people.
What was your experience being in the National Guard? I
feel like the military experience is cool because it's at such a pivotal point in your life for most people. Like most people join at like 18, 20. That's when you're young, you're like, you're still gooey, like you're still like becoming who you are. I feel like I was exposed to a lot. So I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and I grew up in just like a regular suburb. My unit is like all people from Philly. Well, it's like 3 parts. There's like one section that's outside of Philly, that's like in the country. There's like a smaller section that's like also kind of rural, but like the main chunk of it is like in Philly. And so being in a unit with kids that like all grew up like in the city and were from different backgrounds too, I feel as though like definitely exposed me to a lot. And it was cool. It was so cool to like make friends and be around people that I didn't like grow up with, honestly. I feel like the culture of the military kind of like, I don't know if it would be the whole military, more so just the National Guard is kind of like lackadaisical. It's a little like not serious, to be honest. So I feel like there was that aspect of it too, where it's like, I'm very young, I'm very passionate, I'm very opinionated, and then it feels like a lot of people showing up kind of just like, whatever. At least I felt like, at least my unit, very like, whatever, like, let's just like get this over with. And like, after being in training, you're like, I don't know, training feels like super serious. Is that how it felt? Like it was like you're in basic training and everything's like hella serious, and then you actually get to the military and you're like, okay, whoa, this is like a little more chill.
Well, yeah, most of the training that you're getting in the beginning is all combat related, right? So once you hit the fleet, it's completely different because you're in your set job. Unless you're in infantry, then it's your just normal 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. I feel like even outside of your MOS, I feel like there's a lot that you can learn from just that environment. Mm. You say there's like a lot of unseriousness, but still, I mean, there's certain ways like tact, right? And talking with your...
Maybe it was just me. Mm-hmm. That it felt kind of hard to take people seriously, but I don't know. I don't know, but I tried to be.
Don't you think that there's certain things that you feel like you can pick up on more so than folks who weren't in? How do you feel about that?
Oh, like what types of things?
Sarcasm.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone in my unit was like hella goofy. Being able to talk to different types of people was important. There's like younger people, older people. I called them the barbecue dads. Like it was like a lot of dudes like late 30s, early 40s, really into smoking meat. Very sarcastic, very funny. I thought they were hilarious.
You ever get like smoked?
It was more embarrassing. I feel like it was never like basic training level bad where it's like I'm in fucking pain and like this sucks super bad where they're smoking the shit out of you and like you're shaking and like, oh no.
They didn't tell you bring a water source?
That's deep. That's hella deep. No, that was like maybe my very first year in the National Guard and like all of training. But like mostly it was just like to embarrass you, which I didn't like that, obviously. But like I feel like every time we got smoked in the National Guard, I was just like, this shit's stupid. Like, and it's like in front of people and you're like, oh man, this is like our regular job. Like we're not in training and like you feel like hella like a
little kid,
like young. Yes, it's like, oh, you young and like fucking get on the ground, put your hands on the ground. You feel like fuck. But so I think a couple times it was necessary and we were like, okay, shit. we'll stop being late. We'll stop sneaking out to Wawa. Like, we'll do it. I'm sorry. Because, yeah, that shit was hella embarrassing. But not that often. I think I only had one friend who got smoked, like, super bad for something. But she low-key deserved that shit. she knew she was wrong, too.
What did she do?
They had us doing a game. Because they had like nothing else to fucking do. They made up like this little agility course. This is the National Guard for real. They made up this little like agility course. I think it was for like the 5 tons. And she had to like go through these cones. And they were like timing people to see who could like do it the fastest. Which seems like, oh, we're training, but it's also just like, we have an afternoon. We need to like look like we're doing shit. We got cones. We got gas. Like, this is what we're gonna do. And she just like, instead of like, oh, it was backing up through the cones. Instead of backing up, she just like floored it and fucking just like reversed back, but just like straight. And like almost hit a group of people in like a building, and was a whole thing. And like, and people like ran up to her. And we were laughing, and then we saw how much trouble she was in. I was like, oh my God, like trying to like choke down the fucking laughter. And they smoked the shit out of her. I knew that shit was happening because they were like, I heard them say, like, do you want to be in the sun or shade? And I was like, oh shit, they're about to have her for a minute. And it was like 15 minutes later, and we were like all trying not to watch because we're like, this is so fucked up, dude. Because that could have been us. Like, she just thought it was funny, and it was apparently not. I don't know. I thought it was funny. I laughed, but yeah, they got her really good. And then we talked about that shit for years too, because it was kind of rare. I feel like it was rare to get smoked that bad. Was it for you?
I remember I had to clean out all of the trucks by myself. Everybody was doing whatever they needed to do.
What'd you do?
What didn't I do?
Like, before that, tell us, what was the crime?
I mean, I really have to think about some of the things that I did.
So we can measure if it fit the time. Because you had to clean out every truck, like the beds and everything.
I mean, there were times where I was late for formation. Maybe I didn't shave.
Oh, that's
Small
not
stuff.
that deep. Damn.
Small stuff, but it added up.
The Marines run a tight ship.
Mm-hmm.
That branch is way different than every other branch. That shit is crisp.
Marines are typically taught to compartmentalize everything, which, I mean, you know, when you're in battle, that's what you got to do, right? So that's how they train us, ready to ship out tomorrow if need be. But I hope that the Marine Corps is doing better with the mental health portions, especially folks who drink, because there are a lot of Marines who do drink. Shit, I hid bottles in my wall locker when I wasn't supposed to. I can say that now because they can't do anything, but yeah, they, you know, there's Marines out there and all they do is get shit drunk.
Drinking culture in the military is definitely something that stood out to me too.
And I recognized in myself, and I think also my gunny. So Gunny McIntosh was the one who was really, I think, in my corner. Even though I messed up a lot, he always seemed to like kind of really want to see what the issue was. And I think when you have somebody like that, who's higher up, right? Because you can advocate for yourself, but you really need somebody who's got some pull, who can be like, nah, you need to back off of him. I got him.
Good leadership.
That is good leadership, yeah, absolutely. You know, like how you were talking about being a social worker, I feel like having that empathy factor is needed in the military, right? Understanding folks' situations, not necessarily just judging them off the surface.
It's super hard for me to understand from the outside what it's like to kind of be in that space. Like when you talk about like compartmentalizing how you feel and being able to like take it, put it somewhere for right now. I think just like as a female, I have a different experience with that. But look, just like, I only know my life. Looking at it from the outside in, I always wish I knew what people needed, like what to say. Because I feel like there was, like being a more empathetic person, there was some situations where someone would be having problems and they'd be like, we need someone to talk to them. I feel like you'd be a good person to talk to them. Could you talk to them? And I'm like, I'm gonna do my best. But I don't know if understanding what people are going through is a necessary part of like just being able to be there and listen, but I would like to understand it a little bit more, because the mental health side, it is very easy, I think, for people to kind of check off like something's wrong, so we can kind of just deal with it as that. It's like you're an outlier of like something's wrong. But if we could accept that the people who are like really outwardly showing signs of mental illness or just struggle, if we can accept them and want to work with them and help them, I think it opens up to the people who are also experience like a medium amount of problems, because that's valid too. Before it gets to be super serious, when your problems are medium, they still need to be dealt with. Like they still need to be worked through so that it doesn't get to that level. So if we can accept them and want to help them, then I think that opens it up to more people. But the military is all about conformity. I don't know if it's the space, but I wanted to ask you about that, what you felt like where in training, or how they kind of enforced it to learn to compartmentalize your feelings. Because you hear stories of people going through something where it's like you're in basic training and there's a shark attack and you start crying and like they're all on you because there's fucking tears on your face, like some shit like that. It's like, what do they really do to like, I guess, train that compartmentalization?
As far as compartmentalizing that, I think people will try to push their needs aside to get through whatever they need to get through at that time, because at the end of the day, when you're at war, you're gonna need to be focused, otherwise that's your life.
Like your needs being put secondary.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, because it's like when you sleep, when you eat, where you go, what you wear, like all things that kind of like affect your comfort, like that's all controlled, you know?
So if we're in boot camp, if you mess up, they'll say things like, you're going to be the reason why someone gets killed.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that shit used to hit.
That's what they want, because they want warriors, you know. And I think for them, for that kind of space, you can't really think about what your needs are. Think about what you need, right? It's just go, go, go. So when you're in that mindset, you're not really thinking about yourself. You're kind of like putting that aside, I think. And then that just builds up. And people just don't really try to use that introspection to see how they're doing. Instead, they just bury themselves in a bottle or do other stuff to cope with it.
Skills necessary for war.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword, I would say, because while yes, I can compartmentalize when I need to, it's not the healthiest thing to do. You're kind of taking a hit on the back end as well. But it makes you more resilient, I would say, in a sense. If things need to get done, you're able to kind of push aside the stressors and everything for the sole purpose of delivering on whatever it is that they want you to do. It's good. That kind of mentality is good for that. But I would say that from all that, I'm glad that there are people who understand and are able to support.
I'm glad that it's getting the attention that it deserves, mental health in the military, honestly.
Do you think it is?
I feel like there's like the social media challenges, and then there's just like the general awareness of it. Like I feel like even people being aware that it is an issue, like within the military, I don't think it's getting what it needs, but I feel like it's cool that people are aware that it is an issue to begin with. Because there's people I feel like before that would say like it's hard, it's supposed to be hard, like you're supposed to suffer and feel those things. It'd be weird if you didn't.
And they say, for the Marines at least, they say pain is weakness leaving the body.
Deep.
Did they ever have that compartmentalization culture?
I feel like the amount of stuff people had to compartmentalize was also just life, because they call it playing army, like to have a regular life, like people are parents, they're in school, they have full-time jobs, like it's like life right now. But imagine this weekend you had to be up 4 a.m., shaved, in uniform, but then like Monday through Friday you're living like your regular life. So having to put your regular life on pause and go away for 2 days and give that your full attention, I think that was rough for people, because life is happening. Like there's problems. If you have a problem going on back home, like it doesn't matter. You gotta go, gotta leave. If your boss like is upset that you taken, like they're not allowed to legally fire you, reduce your hours or anything like that, because it's military service, but you're still gonna have trouble with jobs, because I mean you're literally getting off 1 weekend a month, like most jobs are gonna be like. But I feel like people definitely had to put it in a box, like what they had going on back home, because being there and being present was demanding. I feel like I keep coming back to this thought of like, I wish I knew what it is people needed, but honestly I feel like it's just the experience of being in the military itself that is quite a difficulty. I think it'll be a while. Mental health is something that's only recently really been researched as far as like Western concepts, because all like ancient stuff of like internal healing, soul healing, stuff like that, I mean, we're really disconnected from that. I feel like a modern Western understanding of what mental health is still like pretty new, scientifically wise. So it's cool that we're starting now, but I don't really know like what people need. But I feel like based on what you're saying and what most people are saying is like just a space to talk and not be judged and be heard. So maybe talk therapy is really valuable to people and that be more available. Because I know I had to go through talk therapy when I was in the military, and that was thebomb.com. I definitely got a lot out of that. That was awesome.
Oh, I'm glad you went about and got that.
Like, definitely the best. But I feel like a lot of the stuff people had to compartmentalize was just life stuff. But something else I really keep thinking about, especially based on a conversation I had with my friend recently, because we were talking about what makes a good society, like what type of people make a good society, what type of structure makes a good society, because that's something I'm very interested in, like how do we make society better. And we were talking about having military skills, and I keep thinking about what is it about a whole population of people who have been given the skills to go to war who didn't go to war. Like you were trained for this skill set and kept in this mentality and kept in this routine to be prepared for war, but they're not in war. You know, like we're in Pennsylvania, we're in California, we're in our early 20s, but we have to be ready for war. Like that, I think is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it, but I think about it.
You think that's a skill?
Yeah, it's definitely a skill set. Like being prepared for it, because it's bigger than just being able to shoot, being able to move. Because retaining that information and applying it and developing that skill, it all comes from that inner place of like, it's life or death. Like what you were saying about like them saying like, you could be the reason somebody gets killed. Like you pay attention when you really like realize like that's what's actually at stake. And then you see imagery, like photos and videos of what's going on overseas, like what could happen if you get deployed. So I just think about that. I'm like, we're a population of people that have this skill set, but we're not in that environment. We're not actively applying it. Does that make sense?
But we're getting ready for it.
Yeah.
We have to be ready for it at a moment's notice.
Do you feel like being able to compartmentalize is a valuable skill in quote-unquote regular society, like not wartime?
Those are skills that I don't think you're going to get anywhere else. Keep that composure.
Composure. It's an excellent excellent word. Yeah, to be honest. Like, not cracking under all this stuff. I feel like if I had to like boil down like what basic training taught you is how to operate under stress. And I feel like that is a really good skill. It's a very good skill because stress is everywhere. Stress is everything. Everything's stress.
Yeah.
Still got to be able to do what you got to do.